Welcome to Assyria TV. In today's interview, we will be meeting with Professor Efrem Yildiz, who is a Vice President of the University of Salamanca. In today's interview, we will be focusing on his personal life, along with his academic career and his latest achievement, the Nineveh Chair. Welcome, Professor Efrem.
It's a pleasure. Pshena Islam, as we are saying Assyrian language. So it's a pleasure.
Thank you. It's my pleasure too. We would like to start first by telling the people or our viewers a little bit more about yourself.
Well, telling about myself, I think it's not a question. But anyway, I have been born in northern Assyria, which is the northern Mesopotamia. Actually, it belongs to the southeastern Turkey.
Yes.
So the village I have been born in is Herbole, or Aksuhi in Turkish, which belongs to the North Assyrian country.
Mm-hmm.
I have been living there for at least 13 years of my life, where I became acquainted with my own linguistic heritage, with my own cultural legacy, and so on.
That's nice. Could you tell us about the existence of Assyrians in Hakkari? How was like?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the existence of Hakkari, of Assyrians in Hakkari, as you know, what we know about Hakkari region is that is linked to what the genocide has been for the Assyrian people. So.
Correct.
Since it was totally emptied by due to the let's say to the genocide problem, at the end, Hakkari, many people from Hakkari, they emigrated not only to the Western countries, but also they emigrated to the other Assyrian regions, which is Bhutan. Herbole belongs to the Bhutan region, which is in between Tur Abdin and Hakkari region.
True.
So Herbole, Bespen, Ishi, Beznai, Mer, Hassana are those villages which belong to the so-called bow of the three regions, because they are in between.
Yeah.
That's why the Assyrians, most part of the Assyrians who were living in Hakkari region or in Bhutan, they emigrated to different regions like Georgia, Gurjistan, or to Russia, or to Kyrgyzstan, and so on. And part of them, they emigrated also to the Western countries like Europe as a whole, but also to United States, Australia, and so on.
Yes. And when did you left Hakkari? How old were you?
I was 13 when I left my country.
Mm-hmm. And why did you leave?
There I went to Germany, where I attended the secondary school. From there I got a scholarship to study in Italy, where I studied philosophy, theology, biblical theology, and Semitic languages.
Yeah, we will be focusing on your whole academic achievements. But for now, let's talk about why did you left? Why was there, did you left by your choice, or you were forced to leave Hakkari?
Well, you are too young. In my times, when we finished this, let's say, at my time I was studying our mother tongue, Surit, right? With many other Assyrian young, let's say, or the youth, Assyrians who were studying their language and so on in the village. But my generation was the first one which received as an obligatory educational system the Turkish education. So we were somehow, they were trying to Turkifize us. I'm talking about 1970, 1975, when we first received the Turkish education school in Herbole. When I finished the primary school, then I had the chance to move to Germany to continue with my studies, because at those times, really, it was quite difficult to continue especially in those regions, to go ahead with the studies. So my father and my family found the way to move to Germany. I was alone. I was not with the whole family moving to Germany. And I had the chance to study with a promise to help my people in the way I was able to. And I'm happy to, after so many years, to tell you that at least that dream is becoming now a reality.
Yes.
And this is why I have been always moving from different countries.
Yeah.
In order to enlarge the knowledge, in order to know better, and in order to help in an efficient way to that promise I made when I was a child, to help my people in my homeland.
Yeah, well, you make us all proud, and it is really big honor what all your efforts. But if we go back to your first coming to Germany, what is like was your feeling being a foreigner in a new country? What was the experience being in the total different place?
Well, honestly, if I tell you, I have learned since I was a child to use the positive part of a culture and to make them my own one without losing my roots, without losing my treasure and my own legacy. Yeah. So what we have to learn somehow is to add to what we have as by our own. Because if a culture is going only to think and focus on what is your own, at the end you become poor. But That's if you open your mind, you will even better appreciate who you are, where you are come from, and what you have. And this has been probably one of the gifts I got to discover. I have discovered my own legacy, my own people, not in my land, not in my country, not in my nation, but when I was abroad. So the promise I did at the beginning, it was because of the love I have for my people, for my family, and so on. But at the end, I discovered that the best way to love and to contribute to your people was to learn your own history, your own legacy, your own language.
That's correct. I agree.
In order to help them better now to survive and to recover what we lost many centuries ago.
Yeah, that's right. I totally agree. Now you are a very well-respected professor, but if you go back to your childhood, would you imagine yourself being in this position, having this kind of authority for our people, especially our language?
It's I would better focus on other issues. Not a question how would I feel, how proud I could be, whether I would have imagined that I could have achieved this and that. If you love your people, if you love a question, a cause, and this is the Assyrian cause, I live for it. This has been probably one of the main reasons why I have been in a silent way fighting during years in order, first of all, preparing myself, training myself in order to help better to my people. And this was also the promise, accomplishing was the promise I did when I didn't know how I would help my people in the future. Well, today, after so many years, I can tell you, it's not a question of being proud or having this pride, but it's a question of the necessity. Assyrian people I know, and I have become conscious of this necessity, need people like, not me only, you and others who are doing a good job in order to recover and regain what is up to us. It's not a question of fighting for a dream. It's a question of fighting for a reality. Assyrian cause is a reality. And we need today, much more than ever, to have well-trained experts and so on, people that can help recover what is a natural, how would I say, right.
Yeah.
Because we are probably one of the fewest nations that have their historical legacy, that have their cultural legacy, that have their geography, territory, language, and so on, but they were not so lucky in getting and gaining their rights as any other nation.
Yes.
And I think now it's time to fight for it in an intelligent way, not just doing I don't know what, but if we try to work in a collective way, what I call in our Assyrian language, si'tanait, in a collective way, I'm sure that we will achieve our goal. The main goal is this.
Yes.
We have our right as a nation, as a people, and as a whole to be considered as any other nation. And this is what I'm fighting for. And this is not just a question of a dream that I have had when I was a kid, but also now I know much more about my own history, my own linguistic legacy, my own cultural heritage that I know that we deserve.
Yes.
As any other nation, a territory, recognition as a people and as a nation.
Yeah.
And we have the right to fight for it in an intelligent way. And this is why I have been working for many years in a silent way, Shilianait, because we deserve much more consideration than any other people, because we have our historical, how would I say, proof as a people, as a nation, as a territory, but we have been somehow put out or aside in this sense. And I think it's time to fight, as I told you, as any other nation, for our rights as a people. And this has become my, let's say, my personal mission for my people.
Well, first of all, I wish there would be more humble people like yourself who are ready to sacrifice for our case, rather than, you know, focusing on themselves or showing themselves, and rather than focusing on their real job towards our aim for having our rights, or the Assyrian rights, as a really not just any kind of minority. We are a minority that have a great heritage and have given to the world so much. So I do wish that we have so many people that are just humble as you are. You have been to Europe. Like you said earlier, you have traveled throughout Europe to many countries. What you have done there? What have you studied there? Why were you traveling around from these countries?
Well, traveling, I would not say traveling, moving from one country to another one. But the main reason was studying, let's say, enriching my nuances, my knowledge of languages, because I learned long time ago, that if you want to know about a people, a community, a social group, you have first to learn their language.
Correct. And do you speak around 8 to 12 languages, right?
The best way to learn about a people is first to learn its language, and then to learn about its cultural legacy, richness, and so on. And probably this moving from Germany to Italy, and then from Italy to Spain, France, Israel, and so on. At the end, the main reason was to not only studying the language, you have been studying English language. Studying a language is not just a question of managing well the grammar and the technical expressions that to know how they feel
Exactly.
and how they think and reason.
Yes.
And this has given me the chance also to regain my own richness as part of a people like are the Assyrian peoples. I discovered through this learning languages, also reading what has been published upon the Assyrians in German language, in Italian, Spanish, English, French, and so on. I discovered my own culture.
That's nice. That's
And
interesting.
this has been also one of the main, probably without being conscious of it. At the end, once you have gained some level of maturity in how to deal with the studies and how to gain some positive aspect of them, I try to convert them into how could I discover my own people, my own nation, my own language, my own culture through other languages. Of course, I have also learned the Semitic languages thinking in this way, but also German, French, English, Italian, and so on have been very helpful in order to enrich my own nuances about upon my own legacy. So honestly, I have discovered my being Assyrian as it deserves, thanks to this process of learning and studying and researching.
That's interesting, really interesting. So how did you decided finally to stay in Spain and in Salamanca right now? Like you traveled all around or moved, like you said, and then finally you decided to stay in Spain, and now you have a senior position in the University of Salamanca. So how did you end up with this decision?
Well, the decision was first made in 1994 when I got married. My wife, she asked me whether we could move to Spain. I said okay, but with a condition to a place where I could develop my studies, research projects that I had in mind. So that's why we choose Salamanca, because Salamanca, as you know, is a university of more than 800 years of experience of academic life. And I saw that it was a good place in order to develop what was my dream. But why I haven't been moving to a place or to a country where there was an Assyrian community, because everybody asks me, why haven't you been in France or in Sweden or in Holland or in Germany?
Rather in Spain, where maybe there's no Assyrian community.
Where I am, there is not an Assyrian community at all. Now we are 4.5. But I did it intentionally, because if you want to, you have mentioned the sacrifice. This has been a question of course, I could have been much more comfortable seeing my mom and my brothers and sisters in France day per day. But I saw that it was not going to be possible if I was going to accomplish the dream I was looking for, or the intention I had to help my people. And that has mean a kind of sacrifice, because I know my own traditions. Imagine if I'm in France and my big brother says, Efrem, come and have a tea with me. And I would say, no, I don't have time, because I have to study this, I have to learn this, and I have to do this. The first time my brother would accept it. Second time he would say, probably my brother doesn't like to come to visit me. And third time he said, look, do you have something against me? And I have been avoiding this intentionally. Suffering it from inside, but I was conscious of the fact that if you want to prepare yourself, you need time to study, to learn, to research. And this was not going to be possible
without sacrifice.
In the community. This was probably one of the main reasons why I just tried to stay outside of the community in order to help better my people, the community, and so on. So it's a question of taking a decision, because I was conscious of the fact: do your best to help your people.
So
and doing my best meant to sacrifice at the same time some aspects, because of course no normal person would renounce to the warmth and to the love of his own mom,
yeah, of course,
or brothers and sisters. But I accomplished with my promise that I would try to do my best to help my people. This is my own goal, and this has been my own purpose in the last, let's say, 27-30 years, when I went out and with a clear conviction that I want to become helpful for my people. At the beginning, it was just for my people in northern Assyria, but then I realized that I could do even better if I would focus on the whole Assyrian question. And this is the reason why I am now at a university which tells our language since 1311.
That's nice.
I mean, it's a long period of time. And this is why I choose Salamanca in this sense, in order to also start working on different projects, building the whole degree we have now here, which has at about 40% that has to do with our linguistic, literary, and cultural legacy.
You are now in Salamanca University. Can you explain for us what is the Nineveh chair? What is the idea of this? Can you explain for the viewers also to know more about it?
With pleasure.
Yeah.
As I told you, my dream was to convert it into a reality, doing concrete things, concrete issues that could help our people to become much more acquainted with our historical, linguistic, cultural legacy. When I came here in 1994, there was only in the Hebrew studies, there was only a course which was called Biblical Aramaic. And I started building pass by pass, step by step, giving courses, offering courses that at the beginning were optional courses, and then they gradually became obligatory courses in the same, let's say, higher education system of European continent. So when we arrived at the level where we obliged to start creating our degrees according to the ECTS, which means European Credit Transfer System, there I saw the chance to include those courses that at the beginning were just a proposal, optional courses, to include them as obligatory courses.
Okay.
So we have now a Hebrew and Aramaic study degree, which has more or less 40%. We have started by one course. Now we are talking about 40% as a whole, which are related to our legacy. And then the next step, because I try to always to be a bit much more concrete, and now I saw that the time was the right time to start focusing on a specific Assyrian issue. And as you know, since 2017, I have become the vice president of the university. I did it in order to have better chances to develop the project I was looking for.
Yeah, it's more easily to
this
manage.
is why exactly the Nineveh chair is the next step of 25 years of work. It's not just a question of 2 or 3 years that one could have an ideal, but it's a project. It's a long-term project that aims to help the Assyrian community, the Assyrian people, the Assyrian nation as a whole, to focus on those parts that are absolutely needed. We are in danger of not focusing on our language, on our history, and so on. But especially in the sense of that they must be given according to the Assyrian mentality, and not according to what a foreigner who has done a huge job. But imagine today, until today, we don't have an Assyrian vision as far as the linguistic issue is concerned, the history is concerned, and so on. This is one of the main goals why we for the Nineveh academic year that has been created for these purposes.
That's nice.
It has been created in 2020 in the 30th of June. It has been accepted by the, let's say, the highest academic council of the university, not just an initiative of Professor Efrem. It's included in a project. It's also at the same time is conceived as a mean to help the Assyrian community or nation to build up in relation to the language, to the history, and to the literature.
That's a great work. Who can join this department? Who can study there, and what kind of education they will have?
So this department, or this degree, I would better say, can join every young lady or guy who has finished his or her, let's say, last stage of their secondary school, in order to which allow them to have the entrance to the university. So this first, but this not the only thing that we have. This is as a degree. Then we have also, and this is what the Nineveh Chair is focusing on, those students who want to or who aim to specialize in language and history, especially in the Assyrian and in Assyrian language and history, they have the chance to arrive not only to the degree, but even at the doctoral level.
Nice.
Indeed, today I have the honor and the pleasure to announce you that for the first time, the Nineveh Academic Chair will offer to the Assyrian talent, whether she or he, I don't mind, who want to somehow to participate in this sacrificed kind of life, they would have the chance to have a scholarship, and this is for 2021, 2022. I'm announcing it for the first time, by the way. We are offering on behalf of Nineveh Academic Chair, and thanks to the donations and investment of the Assyrian generous associations and also individuals who have made it possible, we are announcing for the first time a scholarship specifically for the Assyrian talents who want to do a doctorate in language or in history.
That's amazing news. So there's a full scholarship, and this is the first full scholarship for the Assyrian youth to come and study for the year 2021 and 22.
Exactly,
and it's going to be in September, right?
Yes, they will. In case the person who will be awarded with the scholarship will start in September 2021. In this case, now the application form is going to be for the first, probably from the 1st of March until the 15th of March. These are the periods where we have all our, let's say, scholarships of the university, because this scholarship is not a private issue. It's included in the Nineveh chair, which belongs to the University of Salamanca. So
Okay.
those people who have a master in history or in language could apply for such a scholarship. I'm very sorry to announce only one, but my dream is, because this belongs to, let's say, to one of the 3 or 4 goals of the Nineveh academic chair, giving scholarships in order to train Assyrian talents for the next 10 years, because the dream or the aim is, or the purpose is, to train at least an average of 30, 60. I would love to have more than 100 people for the next, let's say, 10 years, in order to ensure the continuity of, let's say, the studies, but given and trained by our own.
Yes.
Means Minnan Illan must become a reality. We have to learn to transmit to the world our legacy in history, in language, in literature, by our own. There is not an Assyrian vision of their own history. And this must become a kind of moral obligation of the Assyrian community in order to show to the people how the Assyrians understand themselves as a people, as a nation, as a whole. And this is the first, let's say, small step, that has become a reality.
Well, this is really good news, and I do encourage everyone to try and come forward for this scholarship. So just can you fill us more information where someone can apply for this scholarship, how we can reach this scholarship, and if there's any kind of conditions that one must have, so just to be easier for everyone who wants to can have the access.
Oh, yes. Yeah. The website is going to finish probably in this week. The website of the Nineveh chair, where all the, let's say, the documents and the application forms will can be downloaded, and in order to apply for that for this scholarship. This one. Second, the conditions. One of the conditions, because as we don't have many means, because it's just the first step. So this is why the scholarship will more or less include an amount of 12,000 euros per year for 3 years, maximum 4 years, in case this is the normal process of an academic procedure. So where an Assyrian talent or Assyrian lady or Assyrian
man,
a guy that will apply for it and will focus on a specific Assyrian history or Assyrian language, because what we have to do is to start training the people, our own people, because we have learned to look to the hands of the others. Now the time has come to also to do something by our own. Because if a people do not emancipate, if a people do not develop and progress, at the end, these people will always depend on the others. And if a nation wants to become a nation, we have to start, and this is a clear message to the Assyrian community. We must focus on education. I invite the Assyrian people around the world to invest in education. A nation without education is, it's
worthless.
Just conditioned by a pine. A nation without education will die out.
Of course.
There's no chance. This must become our force, our strength. And this is why I insist on education. We have to train at least an average of 60, 100 Assyrian talents. I'm focusing only on language, history, and literature. Of course, there will be also in law, international law, and so on, and for economical issues. But
Yeah.
now our
Own language,
urgent,
history.
let's say, urgent needs are
Mm-hmm.
about our identity, history, language, and culture.
Yeah.
And this is why the scholarships for this first stage will be focused and centralized only for the studies. So I invite every Assyrian talent to participate, and especially with a condition, because those who will receive this scholarship are not going to be trained just because they have to be trained, but they have also to offer
Yes.
to their fellows
Yes. To give back.
a period of time giving back what they have earned,
Yeah.
but not giving back just they will be ready to they will be trained, they will finish their doctoral level and what to do. We will provide them with those means in order to cultivate and
Yeah.
to foster this education process in those places where there is an Assyrian community,
Yeah.
whether in our homeland or in Galuta. You know what it
Yes.
means, Galut? Galuta
Yes.
means in the exile,
Yes.
in diaspora.
Exactly.
So this is the condition, the unique condition I
Yeah.
put for such a scholarship, that the lady or the guy who will receive or will be awarded with this scholarship in the future, he or she will have to contribute to the Assyrian cause,
Yeah.
teaching the language or teaching the Assyrian history and so on, defending the Assyrian cause.
Yes.
They will be not abandoned, they will be guided, they will be oriented, and they will be sent as new ambassadors to those places where it's needed, whether in Sweden, whether or in Germany or in Spain or wherever there is a big Assyrian community, and where there is also an educational center, because we have to focus on the education. We have now we have enough time because each, let's say, change moving from one country to another, because
Exactly.
Assyrian people have now been living an experience of arriving, settling, growing, and now it's time also to give
Yes.
and to produce. And this your generation must now to take over this mission. And we have the main reason why we are offering these scholarships is this, to start focusing on creating real educational centers according to the 21st century educational system, in order to, let's say, to train, to educate our kids in our legacy as a whole.
Yes.
This is the way. We don't have other chance.
Yeah. I agree.
Do we want to have really a nation? You have to you must to start from the education.
Yeah.
If you have educated people, every other issues will come.
Exactly. Well, from our platform, we do encourage everyone to try contribute to this scholarship, and I wish the best for everyone who might participate in it. How important is, like, giving this scholarship? Like you said earlier, it's very important to educate ourselves, but how important is the role of the Assyrian language in the academia? Why is it so important? Why we have to put it in academic way?
If you analyze, I could answer your question in a very simple way. I will try to do my best to explain it why it's so important.
Yeah.
Imagine the Assyrian culture, history, and legacy are one of the widest, one of the biggest legacy of the history itself. Okay, and probably many people outside who do not belong to the Assyrian community know and appreciate the reality much more than we do. Okay, why is it so important? Because no culture, no nation, no people has survived without its own these points you have been mentioning. A nation, a people without its own language can't transmit his feelings, his being, his vision, a whole as a group to the others without its linguistic, historical, and cultural issues. This is why I insist on the education.
Yes.
Because if you don't know who you are, what you speak, how you feel as an Assyrian, you will never be able to transmit it as it deserves. So this is why I consider it as one of the main points. That if you want to regain Assyria as we wish, you have to start from education. You have to train your kids in your own language, in your own history, in your own legacy as a whole. This is the first step. Then you can talk about regaining your territory and so on. But if I would not have talked to my kids, and this I give it always as an example, I'm the unique family in Salamanca, but my kids speak fluently our Assyrian language, Sur or Surai. Why? Because I'm convinced that's the unique way to have a link to your own legacy, to have a link to your own history and so on, and also to appreciate it and to also to cultivate it. So this is why I insist on this fact. So the simple fact of creating the Nineveh Academice is not just in order to have, well, Professor Efrem has done a big issue. No, it's a question of necessity. It's a question of a need that I'm convinced about, that without education, you will never achieve the goals you are looking for. You will never get your rights as a people, as a nation, and as a community, that the people would understand it. If you are not able to explain yourself as an Assyrian, what would a foreigner think about you? If you are not able to tell them what language you speak, where you come from, what you feel as an Assyrian, at the end, it will become just a question of, as some our beloved brother said, Assyrians as a historical memory. No, I firmly believe in an Assyrian current reality. We are a touchable reality, and we have to believe in it, and we have to be convinced about our being as a people, a nation, and as a legacy which is richer than any other nation.
Well, I totally agree with you. The impact that we will have, like learning our language more in an academic way, will have long-term impact. We will be more existent in these places, especially in diaspora. But we have you have another great announcement. There is going to be a first Assyria International Conference about the history of a language and identity. Could you please elaborate more about this and tell us about this great news?
Before answering your question, I would like to explain to you what the Nineveh Academice aims to do. It's not just a scholarship or a congress. The Nineveh Chair aims to focus on at least 4 main pillars. One of the pillars is scholarship. Second one is promoting the Assyrian language, history, and culture through congresses, and which I will announce now. But another important issue is also to create research groups upon the Assyrian history. But research groups which are led and also worked by the Assyrian experts. Not only just I could now ask to the experts in Oxford, in Harvard, in Sorbonne, and so on. But no, my dream is to involve the Assyrian experts in such projects. That's why we have also at least three different or main working research groups that will focus on language, history, and culture or literature. this will allow us to create also an Assyrian Academic Council that will have to foster, to defend, and to protect the Assyrian language, history, and culture. Every other nation has these three groups who are working 24 hours per day, let's say, on protecting their own, let's say, linguistic, cultural, and historical legacy. And this must be also started by the Assyrians.
Yes.
So this is also one of the main pillars. But at the same time, we are also going to offer, we are now preparing a platform within the Nineveh Academy Chair where we will teach our language online.
Yeah.
Beginner, I'm working now, I have been working now, I'm putting now the contents on two main courses, beginner and advanced courses, where we can teach our kids, and also foreigners, our language in a natural way wherever they are. Now there's not a pretext where we can say, no, we don't have means. You will have means to learn your language. You can't now have a kind of, motivation or argument that would say, I don't have the chance. Now you will have the chance also to learn your language wherever you are.
Yes, correct.
And the last one, and now I'm coming back to your question, is we have also to show to the world the Assyrian vision. And the best way is through congresses, symposiums, seminars, and so on. This is why we are going to celebrate. And this is also a new, let's say, issue that we are launching. From the second week of September 2021, we will celebrate the first Assyrian International Congress that is, let's say, promoted by the Nineveh Academy Chair, which will be held upon language, history, and identity. We have these three problems that we have to deal with them in an intelligent and productive way. This is why we are going to let's say, to invite the experts to talk about these issues. These arguments have nothing to do with the political interests. This I want to make it clear.
Yes.
My aim is at academic level. Indeed, I can tell you that I have sent a message to, for example, Professor Jeffrey Khan, Regius Professor of the University of Cambridge, and I asked him whether he would be willing to participate, and he immediately replied that he would love to participate. So we are going to invite people of the first class in history, in language, and in literature to tell us how rich our history is and how it is structured, because we have a big confusion today.
Yes.
We have so many, among our people, we have so many denominations where we don't know what to do with.
Yes.
And we have to have an answer to these questions in an, let's say, expert from the expertise. Not just because I love my people and I call myself Assyrian and no. I have to give a historical background. I have to justify it, why I'm called Assyrian. I have to show to the people how the rich of the structure of my language, the modern Assyrian language, which we call Surait, how it's structured, and what we have to do in order to put them together.
Yes.
Second, I have also to show to the people how my history is taught as it deserves. Because among our, let's say, Assyrian nation, we do have so many confusions in relation to our religious pertinence, religious branches, and so on, where we confuse my faith was the national identity. These questions must be solved in an intelligent way, and especially in a constructive way. Today, some a group is called Chaldean, other one Assyrian, another one Aramean, and other way Syriac, and so on. And we all are Assyrians as a nation, but we are divided according to our faith. So we have to know also to distinguish these different elements in order to give the chance to start creating a real Assyrian nation that is inclusive, not exclusive. There is no Assyrian who belongs to this or he's Madanhaya or Ma'arwaya. An Assyrian is an Assyrian as he is or she is, not just because he belongs to this and that religious branch. All these aspects will be gradually explained. This is one of the aims of this Congress. This is the first Congress. I call it first Congress because I'm convinced that we are going to have also other congresses or seminars or symposias in relation to these topics, but especially from a constructive point of view. We have, how can you appreciate your own legacy if you don't know it? This is our biggest concern. This is what makes me cry, because I know my history and I know what we have been suffering, because this confusion is due to the fact that we haven't been able and we didn't have the chance, better said, to know better about our own history, language, and history, because our history is built up in genocides, persecutions, death, massacres, and so on. So this is why I decided by my own, without any aim of having a protagonism in this sense, to focus, to work for this cause, because I firmly believe in it.
Well, good luck in that, and we appreciate all the efforts, and hopefully everyone who could have access to this conference would gain a lot of good information and the right information. I see you talking a lot about the importance of our language and how it could connect us. It's like a link to our heritage. But there's a problem, it's a huge problem that we are facing today, is that the more Assyrians that are traveling to the diaspora and leaving our homeland, the weaker our language is becoming, even though, or stranger enough, here in these Western countries, we have more freedom to perceive and protect our own language, and yet we see it becoming weaker more than when it was in our homeland. Why is this happening? What should we do to actually protect and perceive our language in these countries?
It's very easy. Once you arrive to a new, let's say, region or country or continent, the first phase is to start settling, to try to find a home where to live in, how to feed your kids, how to get them clothes, and so on. And then other issues will come later. Now we are at this stage. We have gone through more or less 100 years of experience in diaspora, and there is a small inconvenience, small, for me it's a huge one, inconvenience in relation to the Syrian communities around the world. Because when we were in our homeland, we knew how to distinguish us from the others because the religious issue was clear. Now, being in diaspora, you don't do it. You are being absorbed, assimilated in an inconscious way, where I'm in Spain, you are in Sweden, the others are in France, where gradually they are observed without being conscious of it. In my opinion, there was that. I mean, it's not a critic, okay, but this is a process. This is why I'm announcing it in a clear way. If we don't take care of this danger, where this assimilation process is becoming gradually bigger and bigger, because if I don't teach my language to my kid will not feel my language, will not feel my being Assyrian as I feel it. So there is a danger where the majority, I must admit, my kids have much more friends, Spanish friends than the Assyrians.
Yeah.
So, but if I don't have the balanced way to tell them that first they are Assyrians and they have to keep, they have to conserve, they have to improve their being Assyrians with this process, at the end you will be obliged to be submitted to an assimilation process which is unavoidable. What we have to do, and in this I must say, the Assyrian communities haven't been, let's say, intelligent enough to think, to focus on these necessities. Because if you analyze Europe, America, United States, Southern America, Australia, they have started with the secondary schools, primary schools.
Yes.
But we should have now at least 10, 15 educational centers wherever there is a big Assyrian community. We don't have it yet. But anyway, better later than never. I'm not the one who sees only the negative aspects. What we have to do is to wake up. If we don't work for the next 30 years, let's say, this is a long-term project, or 10 years, to focus on rebuilding, creating educational centers wherever there is an Assyrian community, then we will be lost. We must be conscious of this danger. It doesn't mean that I'm against if I create an Assyrian educational center in Södertälje or in Paris or in Mechelen or in Brussels or in Augsburg or wherever there is an Assyrian community. It doesn't mean that I have to be able to adapt myself to where I live. But I should never forget where I come from, who am I, and what I have as my own as an Assyrian. This is what the Assyrian community must focus on. But it's also all guilty those who have had the possibility to create, let's say, these possibilities, because you can't start creating an education center without having your own education stuff. What we haven't learned, we Assyrians, is to work in a collective way.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm here, Shabotalay is in Germany, Aryo Makko is in Sweden, Sargon Danabet, Helen Malko, Helen Jonas Adarod, and Eden Navi, and we have so many, but we weren't able to work in a collective way. And this is exactly what the Nineveh Academic Chair will try, to put the Assyrian force together in order to work for a common cause. If I have Nicholas Algilo or other experts in a specific field, I have to learn how the Assyrian community can have a profit of their knowledge. And this is what the Nineveh Academic Chair will do. We have an average of 25, 27 specialists in language, history, literature, where different working groups will be created. But the Assyrian community must support them. Without financial support, we can't do anything. I do it because I love my people, but at first I'm paid by the Spanish state, so I don't need more resources in order to survive. But those people who are going to be involved in this project will be paid as any other people, even if they are serious, because what we haven't learned is to use the resources as we should. We have been burning energies.
That's correct.
Because I know that there are so many Assyrians who would love to sacrifice themselves for their own cause. But this is not enough. The Assyrian community must learn to invest.
That's correct.
And if you don't invest, and this is my invitation to everybody, whether it was 10 years or 100 years or whatever they are able to do, is to invest in the education of their next generation. This is the aim of the Nineveh Academicia. Nothing else. Because this means, for me, honestly, much more work. But I do it with much of love, most of love, because I know this is the key. And we don't have other chance.
Yes.
We have to learn to invest in this way.
Yeah, well, can you summarize, because maybe we run out of time, can you summarize for us what is the situation of the Assyrian language right now? How is it? How could you describe it?
The Assyrian language is in an agonic period.
Yeah.
But agonic period means that it's not that. We are on time to save it and to develop it. One of the main purposes of goals of the Nineveh Academicia will be also working on different stuffs in order to teach the language as it deserves. You must focus on the ages from 7 to 12, from 7 to 10, from 10 to 12, from 12 to 14, from 14 to 16, and from 16 to 18, in order to prepare the learning stuffs according to their ages. This will be also one of the projects that the Nineveh Chair will and is focusing on. So we know what to do, but we need the Assyrian financial support for such works.
Yeah. Well, as you said, you need this financial support. Could you also shortly tell us if there's any donations can be made? How they can finance the Nineveh Chair? Could you just tell them how the donation can be done? Just shortly, yes, so we could transit to another section.
We have created the Nineveh Academicia Association Mesopotamian Alliance for such purposes in order to centralize the, let's say, the resources that should come. We have a bank account for the academic chair. We have also now I'll send you all the details. In order, if there are many people who have still invested, who have still contributed. This is why I am able to announce a scholarship. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to.
Correct. Yeah.
So there are different ways to invest. I'm not begging. Don't forget that.
Yeah,
I'm convinced of an investment. If any Assyrian person who's working would invest 100 euros per year for such a purpose, we would be able to train for the next 10 years an average, I have mentioned 30, 60 or 100 Assyrian talents that will work on the Assyrian cause. This is the main reason. So we do have, through our website, through Assyria TV as well, and so on. I'll send you all the details that can be announced, where they can make their transfer or they can donate in case they are willing to. And if they are convinced of their Assyrian being and for the Assyrian cause in this way. So we do have these ways where they can really contribute.
With this interview, we'll be attaching the way to make donations for the Nineveh Chair. Moving to the last section, I see your effort making with the University of Salamanca. But however, there's an event that happened in 2019 where you were participated in a doctoral dissertation that took place in Växjö, Sweden, and it turned out to be a fake school. How did you end up in such an event, and why is there's such things as fake universities or fake school? What is their aim?
I'm not this is a question that should be treated in a ordered way.
Yeah.
First of all, I was invited by Professor Samir Hoshava because there was an Assyrian doctorate who was defending his dissertation, and it was up in the language. And wherever there is an Assyrian who is doing something for the Assyrian course, especially for the Assyrian language,
Yeah.
I have always announced and said, and I repeat it, I'm there to help and to contribute. So there was the doubt. I don't know whether it's paid because I have then afterwards asked. So I didn't know whether I can't imagine that in Sweden there can be an institute or education center that is not officially recognized. This for me, it doesn't enter in my way of thinking. So this is let's be clear.
Yeah.
Then there were I was told that this academy wasn't officially accepted. I have phoned to the candidate whether this was true. He said no, everything is done. I don't know, but the issue is this. I really and now after having talked with the candidate, I'm still convinced that it's not a fake news or fake information. And I'm not going to enter in that part because I have been invited to different as jury, a member of the jury in different dissertations in especially in Spain and elsewhere. And you never doubt about the, let's say, how do I say, the honesty of these people who are doing and dealing with this topic. So I have been told that this academy is not, a group has told me that this academy, it doesn't really exist as an educational center as any other. But then afterwards, I wrote and I found, in order to ensure that where I'm involved in, I want to have the things clear. Because I don't need to be involved in such a work that doesn't really deserve this exigencies. So I don't know. Honestly, I would be very happy to know that we are wrong, stating that this academy is not recognized. I hope that is recognized. And if not, because I have also called my colleague and brother in national sense, Samiri said no. I also phoned to our candidate, and he swore that this academy is recognized, that the news that have came out have nothing to do with the reality. There, I'm not going to mix. It's not my, how would I say, I can't imagine that in Sweden or in Norway or in Germany or in one of the Western countries, there is an academy that you can defend a doctoral dissertation without having the security that all the things are in order. I'm working in a state university. So where you have a transparency in this, otherwise you could never give a doctoral title. So let's give the chance to the people to show that probably those who have research. But I'm convinced. I believe always in the honesty of the persons. I never doubt, especially at an academic level, that the people could cheat you. So, and when I was just simply invited to be a member because I'm engaged in the linguistic issues, and the guy who is defending is an excellent expert, especially in relation to how to design our language even from a picture point of view. So I've called him. I asked him whether this was true or not, and he said, "No, Professor. This academy is officially recognized, and so on." But I'm not going to be one who just has been invited to a jury to doubt about whether they are, because this is not my let's say my mission to investigate whether they are this and that. I was invited by Professor Samir Khoshaba because in order to ensure that this work could be well done, I prepared at least 3 pages of work in relation in order to improve the dissertation, because especially when an Assyrian defends at this level his degree, for me it's not just a question of having somebody, but It's a question
Yeah.
of, how would I say, of hope
Yes.
that this person will work for the Assyrian cause.
Well, hopefully this will be last time you had put in such a position, and I wish no one take advantage of no one. It was really my honor to sit here with you and listen to you speak and to your words. It's such an honor. What is your last message for our viewers or for the Assyrian community as a whole? What do you want to tell them?
My last message is unity, love, and construction. This is one of the messages, because this is in what I believe. Mm-hmm. Working together, constructing together, and learning to grow together, to grow up together. If we achieve this, we would make the biggest gift for our next incoming generation.
Yes.
Because they will work on what we are now settling and what we are now doing. Mm-hmm. This is my message. If we work with love, mm-hmm. with conviction, and with strength, we will achieve our dream. Assyria will become a reality, whether the people want or not. It's a question of time. But let's work, as I'm always used to say in our beloved language, as Syrisch-orthodoxe.
Yes.
As
strong
bright
lions.
lions.
Yeah.
For the common cause.
Yes.
If we do it in less than we think, Assyria will become a reality. And this is my last message. This is, through this three elements, we can build Assyria as we wish and we want.
Hopefully.
And this is the dream of every Assyrian who is totally convinced of being Assyrian. And this is not just a question of saying, I'm proud of you. No. I need you.
Yes.
Please help us to build, because this is the way to become a reality.
Well, thank you so much for your precious time once again, Professor Efrem. It was such an honor. And I hope that every one of our viewers listen to your words, your wise words, and actually learn our beloved language in an academic way and have this encouragement. Thank you for everyone watching us from home. It was Ramsina Gabriel, and stay safe.